February 7, 2026. The world's eyes are on the Taiwan Strait. Tensions have reached a breaking point. Taiwan is considering a daring move, deploying advanced American-made HIMARS missile launchers on its smallest, most exposed islands, just miles from mainland China. These mobile, precise weapons are a direct challenge to Beijing. For Taiwan, it's a calculated risk, one they believe is necessary for survival. For decades, Taiwan has lived under the shadow of Chinese invasion threats. Now it's pushing back, drawing a new line in the water. Placing these missiles so close to China puts key Chinese military sites within striking distance. The world is asking, is this a defensive masterstroke or a reckless gamble that could spark war? Military analysts scramble to assess the fallout. Diplomats rush to de-escalate a crisis that could spiral out of control. For Taiwan's 24 million people, the stakes have never been higher. This plan marks a shift from a porcupine defense, making invasion costly, to a proactive strategy. Instead of just defending, Taiwan is preparing to strike first if needed. The goal: deter China by threatening its own territory before an attack can even begin. It's a high-risk, high-reward move that could reshape the Indo-Pacific balance. The world holds its breath, waiting to see if this is the start of a new crisis. The deployment could be seen by Beijing as an intolerable provocation. Taiwan's strategy is clear: make any attack on the island a nightmare for China. The region stands on the edge of a potential flashpoint. The weapon at the center of this storm is HIMARS, the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. Imagine a powerful rocket launcher on a truck, fast, mobile, and hard to target. Its shoot-and-scoot tactics make it a survivor. As seen in Ukraine, HIMARS can fire the Army Tactical Missile System, or ATACMS, a GPS-guided missile with a 300-kilometer range. It can strike runways, command posts, or ships with pinpoint accuracy. Taiwan bought these systems from the US to defend against a Chinese invasion. The original plan: keep them on Taiwan's main island to repel amphibious assaults. But as China's threat grew, Taipei's thinking changed. Now, Taiwan wants to disrupt an invasion before it starts, by moving HIMARS to the front lines. This turns the system from a shield into a sword, able to hit deep inside China. It's a psychological shift as much as a military one. Taiwan can now threaten high-value Chinese targets. The message to Beijing: attack us and we can strike back hard. This new posture gives Taiwan's small military a powerful punch. It's a bold move to level the playing field. The world is watching to see if this deterrent works, or backfires. The stakes are enormous for both sides. Taiwan's gamble could change the rules of the game. The region braces for the consequences. To grasp the stakes, look at a map. Taiwan isn't just one island, it controls key outposts like the Penghu and Matsu Islands. Penghu sits in the middle of the Taiwan Strait, a natural fortress. Dongyin, part of the Matsu group, is just 40 kilometers from China's coast. Deploying missiles here is a bold geopolitical statement. From Penghu, Taiwan can dominate the strait, turning it into a deadly zone for any invading fleet. Dongyin is even more provocative. Missiles here can reach major Chinese military bases, airfields, and command centers. It's like placing a dagger at China's throat. This is asymmetric warfare. Taiwan can't match China's military size, but it can create outsized threats. With mobile, hard-to-hit launchers in forward positions, Taiwan forces China to worry about small islands that pack a big punch. It's David versus Goliath, but with precision-guided missiles. The forward deployment complicates any Chinese invasion plan. China's military must now account for threats right on its doorstep. Taiwan's strategy used limited resources for maximum impact. The world is watching to see if this bold move deters aggression, or provokes it. The balance of power in the strait is shifting. The next move could decide the region's fate. The echoes of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis are hard to ignore. Then, Soviet missiles in Cuba brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Now some see a parallel American-made missiles in Taiwan, threatening China from just across the water. For Beijing, HIMARS on Dongyin could be a red line. Just as Cuba was for the US, China may see this as an act of aggression, not defense. The risk: China could demand the missile's removal, threatening force if Taiwan refuses. A standoff could escalate rapidly with both sides unwilling to back down. The difference: these are conventional, not nuclear weapons, but the political stakes are still sky high. The core issue remains: a great power feels threatened by rival missiles on its doorstep. The Cuban crisis ended with secret negotiations and mutual concessions. Can Taipei, Beijing, and Washington find a similar off-ramp, or will pride and miscalculation push the region toward disaster? The world hopes for wisdom, but fears a repeat of history. The Taiwan Strait could become the next flashpoint. The lessons of 1962 loom large. The stakes are global. Picture a 300-kilometer circle around Dongyin Island. Inside that circle, major Chinese cities, air bases, and naval ports, all within HIMARS range. This redraws the military map of the region. Chinese air bases that would launch attacks on Taiwan are now vulnerable to preemptive strikes. Taiwan could crater runways, destroy fuel depots, and disrupt command centers before planes even take off. The same goes for naval ports. Amphibious fleets could be hit before leaving harbor. Hitting ships in port is far easier than at sea, delaying any invasion and buying Taiwan precious time. This forward capability is a powerful deterrent. Chinese planners can no longer assume their staging areas are safe. They must invest in missile defenses and disperse forces, complicating invasion plans. Taiwan's move raises the cost and risk for China. The goal: stop an invasion before it starts. The region's security calculus has changed overnight. Deterrence is now a two-way street. The stakes for both sides have never been higher. The key question: how will China respond? Placing offensive missiles just 40 kilometers from the mainland likely crosses Beijing's red line. Expect a fierce diplomatic backlash, condemnations, threats, and efforts to isolate Taiwan. China will blame the US for fueling separatism. Next, military pressure will ramp up. More drills, more warplanes, more ships in the strait. China could conduct missile tests or even declare a blockade around Dongyin. The most dangerous scenario: a limited strike to destroy the launchers. That would be an act of war, risking a wider conflict with Taiwan and possibly the US. For Beijing, if these missiles are seen as an existential threat, escalation is possible. The world would be watching for any sign of miscalculation. Every move now carries enormous risk. The crisis could spiral out of control in days. Taiwan's gamble forces China to make a fateful choice. The next step could define the future of the region. The world braces for China's response. The US is the third, and perhaps most crucial player in this drama. For decades, Washington's strategic ambiguity has kept both China and Taiwan guessing about US intentions. The sale of HIMARS fits the US goal: help Taiwan deter China without provoking war. But Taiwan's forward deployment strains this delicate balance. The US wants to arm Taiwan, but not trigger a conflict with China. Diplomats will urge caution, fearing escalation. If China attacks Dongyin, Washington faces a nightmare choice: intervene and risk war, or stand by and risk losing credibility. Taiwan's move could force the US to clarify its commitment. The stakes for American power in Asia are enormous. The US must walk a tightrope, supporting Taiwan, deterring China, and avoiding catastrophe. Every decision now carries global consequences. The world watches to see if Washington can manage the crisis. The future of US influence in Asia hangs in the balance. Taiwan's gamble could redefine American strategy. The next move may set the course for decades. The balancing act has never been more precarious. The shockwaves extend far beyond Taipei, Beijing, and Washington. For Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines, stability in the Taiwan Strait is vital. Japan, just 110 kilometers from Taiwan, sees any conflict as a direct threat. Tokyo would call for calm, but quietly prepare for the worst, boosting surveillance and readiness. South Korea, balancing US ties and Chinese trade, would urge restraint. Southeast Asian nations, wary of Chinese expansion, would fear economic and military fallout. The Taiwan Strait is a global shipping artery. Any conflict would cripple trade and energy flows. The economic shock could dwarf recent crises. Regional players have every incentive to prevent escalation. The world's prosperity is at stake. The crisis could reshape alliances and economies. Every nation in the region is watching and bracing. The stakes are truly global. February 7, 2026, a turning point. Taiwan's forward deployment is a bold bid for survival, aiming to deter China by holding its assets at risk. The hope change Beijing's calculus and prevent war. But the risk of miscalculation is immense. What Taiwan sees as deterrence, China may see as provocation. The move could spark the very conflict it seeks to prevent. The fragile peace of the strait is at risk. The world faces a new, dangerous equilibrium, or a catastrophic breakdown. The choices made now will shape the future. Will leaders choose diplomacy, or let pride and fear drive them to war? A few missile launchers on a tiny island could reshape the 21st century. The world watches, hoping for restraint. The next days may decide the fate of the region, and beyond.